Hello everyone and welcome. I am affectionately known as Xiao Hao, but some people call me Tiny Mr. Holloway. And today I have a few questions for the larger me, Administrative Director Trent Holloway, and Head Principal Kris Colvin. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. It's such a pleasure to have you. Kris, the first question is for you. You're fairly young to be running a school. What experience do you think specifically gave you the ability to lead with maturity and wisdom?
I think my years of education that I've spent in teaching and education are a big part of my background, and it's really been a benefit. About 14 years of being in the profession, 7 years of actually leading programs that have helped me kind of have a little bit more wisdom and foundation as we've gone through this first year.
Mr. Holloway, how do you balance your life as an administrative director, husband, and father? Leadership roles take up a lot of time and often take you away from family. What boundaries have you put in place to protect them? I'm not sure that I always do a really good job balancing life and work. I'm kind of a binge and purge sort of person. I have found this here. For here in Shenyang, this is the first time for my family where me and my wife and kids have all been in the same building, on the same schedule, same holidays, same work hours, those kind of things. So we actually kind of have more time to do stuff as a family. Now when it's busy, yeah, I work late and I am pretty invested in what I'm doing. But like on the weekends, usually unless it's an emergency, I don't really answer my emails and things like that. I try and spend that time with the family and balance it that way. So holidays and weekends and those things, I actually have more time to spend with the family here. Mr. Colvin, who would you say played the most important role in your life as a mentor?
That's a good question. Well, I have two examples. Two men actually probably made the most impact as mentors. The first one was my dad. My dad is a pretty successful leader. He's probably one of the best men that I've ever met in my life. And so he taught me a lot about leadership. He ran hospitals for 30 years. He's the smartest guy I know. There's a second guy. Name is Dr. Joe Buck, and he's probably the best example of an education administrator I've ever met. He actually trained me for leadership when I was in university. And he's been kind of walking with me for years as a mentor, as a friend. So I think these are the two guys that made the most impact for me as a mentor in my life.
Trent, living in China can be frustrating, especially when you're task-oriented and want to get things done quickly. How do you deal with frustration? That is true, and that's a good question. I have a motorcycle and several guitars, and some days I get on the motorcycle and I just ride away from all those frustrations. And I have been fortunate that I have met a lot of really good people here and made a lot of good local friends in China that have helped me navigate some of those frustrating things. Kris, what do you think makes a good leader, especially in a school context?
There's about three things I think that make up a good leader. The first one is that an educational leader must be focused on students. A lot of times as a principal, we get bogged down with all the other stuff that comes with leading a school, especially an international school. But the first step and the first thing is focused on kids, focused on students. Typically when we are putting students first, most of the rest of the stuff just falls to the side because we're focused on the right things. Second thing is that leader must have an understanding of the mission and vision. They need to know where they're going, they need to know what they're doing, they need to know what they're trying to accomplish as a group with student outcomes. The third thing is communicating. You know, one of the things that we've been blessed with here is some great teachers. And most of the time that we work with these great teachers, what I found over several years is that when they're not being communicated with, oftentimes they don't know where they're supposed to go. So a leader can oftentimes spend time in the office, they can do a lot of other things, but if they're not communicating the clarity of the mission and vision, then it really doesn't matter. So communication with teachers and students, parents is the top three.
Trent, who is your hero and why? Well, my heroes have always been cowboys, and they still are, it seems. I don't quite know. I have a good answer for that. I would say I am a product of everything I have ever experienced, good or bad. There have been good influences and bad influences. I hope I've taken more of the good influences and tried to repeat some of that, and maybe seen some of the bad influences and tried to learn from that and use that to steer myself in a better direction. You know, certainly my parents have been a big influence on me. Jesus and Johnny Cash and Billy Joe Shaver and people like that are all big influences. I like people that speak the truth, no matter how hard it is, and what the consequences are for that. I like people who aren't afraid to take a stand for what they believe in. And I especially like it when they can do that in rhyming songs. This one's for you, Kris. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's a hard question. I don't know if I can say where I see myself in 5 years. Here's what I do know is that I will be working in a school. I will be working with young people. I will be working with teachers. Because that's my passion. That's what I feel like I was called to do. So every day when I get up, and I am blessed to be able to go be part of a school and administration. And so in 5 years, I would hope to be here. But I know that I'll be working in a school somewhere, probably doing this very same job.
Trent, your all-time favorite song? My all-time favorite song, I can't pick an all-time favorite song. I like a lot of different songs at a lot of different times for a lot of different reasons. It would probably have to be a song that I have written, but I'm not sure which one. That's the great thing for me about songwriting is it documents a way that you felt at a certain time and place. And when you listen back to that, like it kind of takes you back to that place. So I couldn't name just one favorite song. I have a Christmas song that I wrote that I really like because whenever I sing it or hear it, like it kind of takes me back to a special place when my youngest daughter was just a baby, and it was Christmas time, and like that's a special one for me. But I like a lot of different stuff for a lot of different reasons. Okay, a couple of questions for the both of you. What is the reason that you came to China in the first place?
It's a good question. It's a long story, but part of that story is that we were actually recruited to the school a couple of years ago. It at the time was a great opportunity for my family and for myself. I came here because it was an opportunity to serve in a wonderful school and a wonderful place with a wonderful group of students and parents. So I came here as part of that.
For me, this is the finishing my 4th year here in China. And it's a long story. Maybe one day I'll write a book about it. You can read that. We came here shortly after the adoption of our second son, who was in China. And it was just, there were 100 little small things that all lined up, and we just felt like we were being called to China, like we were supposed to be here. Again, long story. Never thought about China, never really considered it before. But after that adoption, like everything just felt like it was pushing us in that direction. Do either of you have any advice or suggestions for parents?
Advice for parents. Okay. I think the number one thing I'd say to most of our parents is have some patience with school, teachers. I think for the most part, anything that we have going on, most of the time, if we come from a perspective of having patience and working things out through dialogue, really does make a big difference with how we accomplish. We all want the same thing. We all want what's best for kids. And so my goal is to do what's right for kids. But sometimes that doesn't happen as quickly as we want it to be. So I would say have patience. Have patience with me, have patience with our staff. And even as we are building this, be patient, because it will come.
I would say never give up and support your kids. Every kid is different and unique and special, and that's a good thing. Develop those unique skills and talents and abilities and help your kids find a place to plug into that. For most of us, we are happiest when we can do the thing that we enjoy doing. A lot of adult stress is because we don't do the thing we enjoy doing, we do the thing that pays the bills. And that disconnect is what causes 90% of the stress in the world, I believe. Support your kids. Help them find that thing that they love so that they can do that. So each of you tell me, what do you think the main strength of STIS is?
The greatest strength of our school is our kids. And one of the things that I've had the privilege of being a part of this year is the fact that our kids are pretty amazing. We could not ask for better kids. And oftentimes you walk into the school, you might see this, you might see that, you might be amazed by certain things. Every day I walk into the school, you know what I'm amazed with? I'm amazed with the caliber of children that we have here. We've got amazing children that they're intelligent, they work hard, they're well behaved. It is a blessing every day to walk in this building because I really think that our kids are that thing that makes us stand out. That is one of our great strengths.
Yeah, I hope that our strength is that we're not just a school, that we're more than that. We're a community, we're a family. We've got so many people from so many different places with just such interesting lives and backgrounds, and just to put all that together is just really cool to me to see that. Well, thank you guys so much. I know you're both very busy with all the things going on at the school here. I thank you for taking time to come down to the playroom and have a little chat with us. Well, thank you, Xiao Hao. It's been a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you.
Until next time, have a wonderful and fantastic Phoenix Day.
Thanks for watching today's episode of a long interview hosted by a short puppet in a playroom.